NBC News exclusive on the beef between the Supreme Court and some federal judges. In very rare interviews, 10 of them tell our Lawrence Hurley they're frustrated with the Supreme Court for overturning rulings that went against the White House with little or no explanation. One judge even alleging that the Supreme Court, which of course includes 3 Trump nominees, is throwing them under the bus. Another says the high court is trying to make it look like the lower courts are biased against the president, telling us it is inexcusable. They don't have our backs. And the big picture here, the Supreme Court has granted the Trump administration requests to block lower court rulings in more than 70% of its emergency cases brought by the administration. NBC News has reached out to Chief Justice John Roberts, who declined to comment. Lawrence is joining us now. And let's just say, we don't often hear from, literally 2 handfuls, almost a dozen federal judges in one place. Talk to us about this. What did they tell you? How did you even start some of these discussions with these judges?
Well, I think, first of all, it's an unusual time, right?
Okay, so let me just start by saying I genuinely did not think we would be here right now. I really did not think this was going to happen, because what just happened inside the Republican Party, and I mean what just happened, is the kind of thing that people are going to be talking about for years, maybe even decades from now. This is the kind of political explosion that changes absolutely everything about how we understand the GOP and where it is headed. And look, I have covered a lot of Trump drama on this channel, a lot of it. You know that if you have been watching for any length of time, I have been here through both impeachments, through all the indictments, through every single scandal and controversy, through all of it, without missing a beat. But this one right here, this one hits completely different than anything we have seen before. This one feels like something fundamentally shifted in American politics, and we are watching it happen in real time, right in front of our eyes. But before we go any further, real quick, let's be honest. You can't really trust mainstream media anymore. That's why we built Pump Politics, to bring you real stories, real context, and no corporate spin. If you want to stay ahead of the headlines, join our free newsletter. We'll send the news straight to your inbox every day. Just click the link in the description to join. And if you just want to support what we're doing, join us, be part of the community that actually cares about the truth. All right, let's get back to the video.
But also his allies on social media and so on. And so they're operating under a lot of pressure, and I think that has changed the mood a little bit within the judiciary. I think maybe they're a little more open to speaking out. And so that's what happened here. One of the judges even said, somebody's going to get killed, because that's how concerned they are. They're concerned about answering the door when someone knocks on the door, all these kind of things.
So here's the setup for what went down. Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yes, that Marjorie Taylor Greene, one of the most loyal and most vocal and most ride or die MAGA supporters in the entire United States Congress, just called President Trump a disgrace. She said it out loud. She said it in public. She said it for everyone to see and hear without any hesitation whatsoever. And Trump did not just fire back with some tweets or whatever. He did not just post some angry Truth Social rant. Although, yeah, he absolutely did that too. He reportedly stormed out of a private GOP strategy conversation because he could not handle being called out like that. He literally walked away from his own people because someone dared to criticize him to his face. Can you believe this is actually happening right now? We are talking about a guy who has demanded absolute loyalty from every single person around him for nearly a decade at this point. A guy who will end your political career if you even hint at disagreeing with him on anything. A guy who has built an entire movement around the idea that he is never wrong and anyone who questions him is automatically a traitor to the cause. And now one of his most famous allies, someone who literally got a standing ovation at CPAC for defending him, someone who has been called Trump in heels by political commentators, is calling him a disgrace to the party, and he is calling her a traitor right back. This is absolutely wild, and I cannot believe we are witnessing this unfold. And here's the thing that makes this even crazier. This is not just some petty Twitter beef between politicians. This is not just elected officials throwing shade at each other for clicks and engagement on social media. What is happening right now as you are watching this video, is a full-blown civil war inside the Republican Party, and it is getting ugly fast. It is getting personal. It is getting nasty in ways that are going to leave permanent scars on the party. Because see, what most people do not realize is that this whole blow-up and this whole disgrace drama is connected to something way bigger than just Trump and MTG not getting along anymore. This goes way deeper than personality conflicts or ego clashes. It is connected to the Epstein files. Yeah, those files. The ones that just got released to the public. The ones with names that are making a lot of powerful people very nervous right now. The ones that everyone has been demanding transparency on for years and years. And guess what? Marjorie Taylor Greene has been pushing hard to get more of those documents out there in the open She has been demanding full transparency and full release. Let the public see everything with no redactions and no cover-ups whatsoever. And Trump, well, let us just say his position on those files has been shifting lately, evolving, changing in ways that should make everyone pay close attention to what is going on behind the scenes. Convenient timing, right? So when you look at this fight, and when you look at Trump calling Green a lightweight congresswoman and a traitor and a disgrace, you have got to ask yourself some serious questions. Is this really just about loyalty? Is this really just about her stepping out of line on some minor policy issue? Or is there something else going on here? Something Trump really does not want people talking about right now? Because here's what I know from covering this stuff for years. When Trump attacks someone this hard, and when he goes full scorched earth on a former ally like this, there is always a deeper reason, always without exception. And it is usually because that person knows something, or said something, or is getting too close to something Trump wants buried deep underground forever. And right now, Marjorie Taylor Greene is asking questions about Jeffrey Epstein that apparently nobody is supposed to be asking out loud. Come on. You see what is happening here, right? So today we are going to break all of this down completely. We are going to talk about what actually happened between Trump and MTG. We are going to look at the receipts and the posts and the timeline of events as they unfolded. We are going to dig into why this matters for the Republican Party going into 2026 and beyond. And yeah, we are going to talk about those Epstein files and why suddenly out of nowhere, Trump's most loyal attack dog is now public enemy number one in MAGA world. All right, so let us get into what actually happened here, because the timeline matters a lot. And I mean, it really matters if you want to understand the full picture of what is going on. So around November 16th, just a couple weeks ago, Marjorie Taylor Greene came out publicly and accused Donald Trump of fueling threats against her personal safety. She said that Trump was driving radical internet mobs at her directly, that his base was now targeting her because she dared to disagree with him on a couple of policy things that she felt strongly about. Now think about that for a second and really let that sink in deep. This is Marjorie Taylor Greene we are talking about here. The woman who defended Trump through 2 separate impeachments without wavering even once. The woman who showed up to the State of the Union wearing a MAGA hat on national television. The woman who has said on camera multiple times that Trump is basically the greatest political figure of our entire lifetime. The woman who has been his attack dog for years, going after anyone he pointed at, and now she is saying he is the one attacking her, that his people are threatening her safety. Are you kidding me with this? Like, the irony here is so thick you could cut it with a knife and serve it for dinner. Because for years, MTG was the one sending the mob after people. She was the attack dog who never let up on anyone. She was the one going after anyone who crossed Trump, even slightly on any issue. Liz Cheney, gone and destroyed politically. Adam Kinzinger, gone and forced out of Congress entirely. Anyone who voted for impeachment, she went after all of them relentlessly day after day until they were finished. And now she is on the receiving end of exactly what she dished out for years to other people. And let me tell you, Trump did not hold back in his response. Not even a little bit. He went absolutely nuclear on her. So right after Greene made those comments about the threats against her, Trump went on his social media platform and just absolutely loaded on her with everything he had. He called her a lightweight congresswoman who does not know what she is doing. He called her a traitor to the movement. He called her, wait for it, a disgrace to the Republican Party. Yeah, he called her a disgrace. The same guy she defended through everything without question, through every scandal that came his way, through every controversy that would have ended any other politician, through every moment when normal politicians would have abandoned ship and saved themselves. So now you have got Trump calling Greene a disgrace, and Greene essentially calling Trump a disgrace right back. And suddenly the 2 biggest MAGA personalities in America are at each other's throats in the most public way possible. This is the political equivalent of watching your parents fight at Thanksgiving dinner in front of the whole family. It is uncomfortable for everyone. It is messy and embarrassing. It is awkward for everyone watching it unfold. And everybody is picking sides and choosing who they are going to support going forward. But here's what most people are missing about this whole situation and why it actually matters. This fight is not really about personal beef between 2 politicians. It is not about who said what first or who insulted who more harshly. This fight at its core is about the Jeffrey Epstein files that are being released. And I know what some of you are thinking. Every time someone mentions Epstein, people roll their eyes like, oh, here we go again with the conspiracy stuff. But listen to me carefully here. This is real and documented. This is being covered by major news outlets across the country. And this is happening right now as we speak. So here's the deal with what is actually going on. Over the past few weeks, New Epstein-related documents have been getting released to the public for everyone to see. NPR covered it extensively in their reporting. Major outlets covered it with detailed analysis. Names are coming out that people recognize. Connections are being exposed that were hidden for years. And some of these names and some of these connections are making people very uncomfortable right now. We are talking about high-profile figures from politics and business and entertainment, all kinds of powerful people whose names are now appearing in these documents for the first time. And every time a new batch gets released, more questions get asked about who knew what and when they knew it. Now, Marjorie Taylor Greene has been one of the loudest voices in Congress demanding full transparency on these files without exception. She has been pushing hard for months on this issue. She wants everything released to the public immediately. No redactions allowed, no holding back anything. Let the public see it all and let the chips fall where they may, regardless of who gets hurt. And you know what? I actually respect that position. Whatever you think about MTG, and look, I have got my opinions about her, but on this specific issue, she is right. Yeah, release the files. Let us see everything. The American people deserve to know the truth about what happened. But here's where it gets really interesting and where you need to pay attention. Trump's position on these files has been, let us call it, evolving over time in noticeable ways. See, when Trump first started talking about the Epstein stuff, way back when he was running for office, he was all about transparency. Release everything he said. Drain the swamp. Let us expose all the elites and their dirty secrets. That was the whole vibe of his campaign, right? That was the whole populist message that got people excited. But now that more documents are actually coming out, and now that the pressure is building and names are being released, suddenly Trump is being a lot more careful about what he says on this topic, a lot more strategic in his comments, a lot more cautious about calling for full release. And that shift in his position, that noticeable change in tone, is exactly when MTG started asking uncomfortable questions that nobody wanted to answer. Coincidence? I do not think so, and neither should you. Because look, here is what I think is really going on here, and this is just my analysis that you can agree or disagree with. But hear me out on this, because it makes a lot of sense. Trump knows what is in those files, or at least he is worried about what might be in those files when everything comes out. We know Trump and Epstein had a relationship going back years. They were photographed together at multiple events. They traveled in the same social circles with the same wealthy people. Trump has admitted publicly to knowing him and spending time with him. And the last thing Trump needs right now, while he is trying to consolidate power in his second term, is his most famous attack dog running around demanding that everything get released without any redactions at all. So what do you do when someone on your own team becomes a liability to your agenda? You cut her loose immediately and publicly. You humiliate her in front of everyone. You call her a traitor to the cause. You call her a disgrace to the party. You turn your entire base against her so that anything she says from this point forward gets dismissed as the ramblings of a disgraced former ally who is just bitter about being dumped. It is actually kind of brilliant if you think about it from a strategic standpoint. Sick and cynical, but brilliant in its effectiveness. Because now, if MTG keeps pushing on the Epstein stuff and demanding full transparency, Trump supporters will not listen to her anymore. They will just say, oh, she is just bitter because Trump dumped her from the team. They would dismiss everything she says as sour grapes from a loser. They will attack her instead of listening to her questions about the documents and the files and the questions and the uncomfortable connections that people want answers about. They all get buried in the drama and the fighting. This is how it works, folks. This is always how it works when powerful people want to hide something. When someone in power does not want you paying attention to something important, they create a distraction to keep you busy. They create chaos to confuse everyone. They give you something else to focus on that seems more interesting. They make the story about personality instead of substance, so you forget what actually matters. And right now, the Trump versus MTG civil war is the perfect distraction from the real story, but I am not falling for it, and neither should you. Because here is the truth that nobody wants to talk about openly, while everyone is arguing about who called who a disgrace, and while everyone is picking sides in this MAGA family feud, and while everyone is distracted by the drama and the name calling, the real story is getting buried deeper and deeper. And the real story is this: something is in those Epstein files that someone does not want released to the public. And the people who are pushing hardest for transparency are suddenly being attacked and discredited by the very people they used to defend. Okay, so let us break this down into what it actually means for you and for the country and for the future of American politics going forward. Because this story has a lot of layers to it, and I want to make sure you walk away understanding the full picture of what is happening and why it matters so much. So point number one that you need to understand: this fight proves that loyalty to Trump is a one-way street that only goes in his direction. And look, we have kind of always known this, If we were being honest with ourselves, anyone paying attention has seen the pattern repeat over and over again with different people. But seeing it play out with MTG, someone who gave everything to the MAGA movement without holding anything back, really drives it home in a way that is impossible to ignore or explain away anymore. Think about what she sacrificed for Trump over the years. Her reputation in mainstream politics, gone forever. Any chance of being taken seriously by moderates or independents, gone completely. She went all in on MAGA, full commitment, no looking back at what she was giving up. She burned every bridge she had. She made herself radioactive to anyone outside the Trump base. And what did she get for it after all that sacrifice and loyalty? The second she stepped slightly out of line on anything, the second she started asking questions Trump did not want asked, and the second she became even slightly inconvenient to his agenda, she got thrown under the bus, hard. He called her a lightweight who does not matter. He called her a traitor to everything they built together. He pulled his endorsement and told everyone to abandon her. He turned his base against her like she was the enemy all along. After everything she did for him over the years, after years of unwavering loyalty and public defense of every single thing he did. So if you are a Republican watching this unfold right now, and if you are someone who has been thinking about aligning yourself with Trump, let this be a lesson you do not forget. The moment you become inconvenient to his plans, you are done. The moment you stop being useful to his agenda, you are out. And he will destroy you publicly without a second thought or any hesitation or any gratitude for what you did before. That is not loyalty. That is not partnership. That is not how you treat allies who fought for you. That is a protection racket. Plain and simple. That is how mob bosses operate when they run criminal organizations. Point number 2 that matters here. This civil war is going to have major consequences for 2026 and all the elections beyond that point. Because here's the thing that Republicans do not want you to know. The Republican Party is not as unified as they want you to think it is. Yeah, on the surface, everyone is wearing MAGA hats and talking about Trump constantly and pretending everything is fine and they all get along great. But behind the scenes, there are deep divisions that are getting harder and harder to hide from public view. There are people who want to move past Trump and his style of politics. There are people who think his approach is hurting the party in swing districts they need to win. There are people who are tired of the chaos and just want to win elections and govern normally. And now, with this MTG blow-up happening so publicly, those divisions are coming to the surface in ways that cannot be ignored anymore, no matter how hard they try. Because if Trump is willing to destroy Marjorie Taylor Greene, one of his most famous supporters in the entire country, and one of his most loyal attack dogs who never question anything, then nobody is safe, nobody at all. Not a single Republican in Congress can feel secure about their future. And that is going to make a lot of Republicans very nervous about their own careers and what might happen to them if they step out of line even slightly. Some will double down on loyalty because they are scared of what happened to MTG. They will become even more devoted to Trump because they do not want to end up like her. They will be even more careful about what they say and how they vote on everything. But others might finally break away and save themselves. They might look at this situation and say, you know what? If he is going to treat his most loyal allies like this, then maybe I should start looking out for myself first. Maybe I should start building relationships outside of Trump world before it is too late. And once that starts happening, and once people start defecting, and once the fear turns into resentment, the whole house of cards could come down faster than anyone expects it to. Point number 3, and this is crucial. The Epstein connection is the story everyone should be watching closely right now instead of the drama. I cannot stress this enough to you because yeah, the Trump versus MTG drama is entertaining to watch unfold. It is wild and crazy. It is the kind of reality TV politics that keeps people clicking and watching and engaging on social media. But the reason for this fight and the underlying cause of all this chaos is what actually matters for the country. And the underlying cause is the Epstein files being released. Documents are coming out week after week. Names are being released that people recognize from the news. Connections are being exposed that powerful people wanted to keep hidden forever from public view. And suddenly, right when transparency advocates like MTG are gaining momentum on this issue, and right when the pressure for full release is building, Trump decides to publicly destroy her reputation and credibility. I am not saying I know exactly what is in those files because I do not have that information. I am not saying I have proof of anything specific about any particular person involved, but I am saying the timing is suspicious as hell. The intensity of Trump's response is suspicious given how loyal she was, and the fact that he is trying to discredit the person pushing hardest for full release of everything is very suspicious, no matter how you look at it. So while everyone is focused on the drama and the name calling, keep your eye on the documents themselves. Keep your eye on what is actually getting released to the public. Keep asking questions about why certain people are so desperate to change the subject to something else, because that is where the real story is hiding in plain sight. Point number 4, and this is maybe the most important point of all to understand. This is what happens when you build a political movement around one person instead of ideas and principles. The Republican Party made a choice years ago that is now coming back to haunt them. They decided to become the party of Trump entirely, not the party of conservative ideas that could outlast any leader, not the party of limited government or fiscal responsibility or any principle at all, the party of one man and one personality and one brand. And when you do that, and when you make everything about loyalty to a single person, this is exactly what you get. You get chaos constantly. You get purges of anyone who questions anything. You get loyal soldiers being thrown away the moment they become inconvenient or ask the wrong questions about the wrong things. Because movements built around individuals do not last forever. They cannot survive long term. Eventually, the leader makes a mistake that cannot be fixed. Eventually, they go too far and alienate people they need. Eventually, they start eating their own, because that is all they know how to do when challenged. And that is exactly what we are seeing right now happening in real time. Trump is eating his own supporters. The question is, how many more loyal people will he destroy before everyone finally wakes up and realizes this is not normal? This is not how political parties are supposed to function in a democracy. This is not sustainable for the long-term future of the conservative movement. All right, so let me wrap this up with some final thoughts. What happened between Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene is not just gossip for entertainment. It is not just political drama to fill airtime on cable news. It is a window into how power actually works in the Republican Party right now and where things are headed. It shows you that loyalty means nothing if you become inconvenient to the leader. It shows you that asking the wrong questions will get you destroyed no matter how loyal you have been over the years. And it shows you that there are things, big things and important things that certain people do not want exposed, no matter what it costs them or who they have to hurt to keep it hidden. The Epstein files are still being released to the public. More names are coming out every week. More connections are being revealed that people wanted buried forever. And while Trump and MTG fight it out in public, and while everyone picks sides in this MAGA civil war, and while the media covers the drama instead of the substance, the real story keeps getting buried deeper and deeper. But not on this channel. I am going to keep covering this story. All of it, the drama and the substance underneath, because someone has to ask the questions that powerful people do not want asked. And someone has to keep pushing for the truth, even when they try to distract us with chaos and fighting. All right, that is it for today, folks. If you made it this far, thank you, seriously. It means a lot that you stuck around. Hit that subscribe button if you have not already. Drop a comment below and let me know what you think about all this. Do you think Trump and MTG will ever reconcile after this? Do you think this is really about the Epstein files or something else entirely? What do you think is really going on behind the scenes that we are not seeing? I want to hear from you in the comments, and I will see you in the next one. This is just getting started, folks. Peace.